All right, my dogs. I'm sorry. We had a little technical glitch here over at T3. Let's see if this goes live, and we're good now. Let's see how we're doing here. We just went live. It's 6:37. Do we got it? We're going to check this out. Check this out. Here we go. Let's see what's happening here. Let us see what's happening here. I got my boy Conrad checking it out. Works with me. Anything? I see us live at 36 seconds in. People coming in. Let's see real quick. Live on YouTube. All right. Anyway, so no Twitter. Let's see. There's got to be a Twitter here. There's T3 Live Twitter. Let's see here. Why would it not have that? I'm just trying to figure some things out. It's early morning. All right. Let's hope this isn't indicative of the day, right? Sometimes as traders, when little things go wrong in the morning, it could throw off your whole day, and we get all upset, and we're like, oh my God. So let's take a deep breath. Everyone take a deep breath. Ready? Deep breath in. Hold it. Let it out. I'm feeling good. I came in. I already did my 25-20. Had a great workout in my sauna. Did a full body workout. Did a nice sweat with my guys from Red Dog Mindset. I appreciate you guys for subscribing in. Red Dog Mindset is the pre-game. The 630 Club is the X's and O's. So you get your mind right so you can execute on the X's and O's come the fall. Going to have a really cool combined product with probably no more 630 Club. So you should subscribe if you find some value here. It's only $10. It's real cheap. But anyway, yeah, Joey, that's a nice one. So anyway, what I was saying before, which I'm going to say again, I'm going to get my energy back up. Okay. First of all, this active sequence has been fantastic. To me, people like Red Dog, when did it start? I think this started right here. Besides this V bottom right there, it turned into a higher low. This was the candle that actually confirmed it. And then this was the candle that actually had them buy a dip. Anyway, from there, we've been trending since. Trending. Conrad says we're live. So we're live. This was when the trend. So every now and then you get it, the trend gets tested, right? You get tested. Well, got tested right here. That was a Red Dog reversal after a slight pullback all the way to new highs. This was my best part of this active sequence that I think started here because I was already in the groove and there were so many nice money trades. But anyway, that was then, this is now. So I'm going to give you another little lesson. So earnings, these are the earnings that came out last night. You have IBM down 15. You have CMG down 5. You have Tesla, okay, down 20. And then you have Google up 5. Okay. So everyone's like, Red Dog, you've been doing this for 30 years. How did you last? I'm like, because I have rules. What are some of my rules? Some of my rules, they do not take stock into earnings. Sometimes I'll trade them after hours with my levels if there's a key spot. But if I think I'm going to miss something, risk is premium paid as a trader. So a lot of people are like, Red Dog, you lost money on Tesla. I did. I did a 350 by 365 call spread. And the way I got in was pretty surgical, where it cost me $250 to make $12.50. So if you do 10 contracts, all I did is 10 because I didn't really believe in it, but everyone wanted me to do a calculated play, so I did. So 10 contracts cost me $2,500. My entire risk is $2,500 to make $12,500. Because from 350 to 365 is 15 minus 250, 1250. Okay. So with that said, I am strategic. So I lost $2,500. If I said I'm not doing options, I'm going to buy 1,000 shares because that's what 10 contracts control, I'd be down 20,000. So what would you rather be down? 20,000, or would you rather be down 2,500? So you know your risk. So Davey Day Trader, I don't know what he did, but people are like, he's rolling the dice. Why aren't you like Davey Day Trader? He's going to make a milli. Anyway, I don't know what he did, and he's down 20 points. Chances are he's got no strategic process, no nothing. That's why we fight, because he treats the market like a casino. I treat it like a calculated way to make a living, a way to make wealth long term with a 401k and a 529 to go to college, and a way to make money with the blood in the street. So I have all these processes in place. So, you could be disciplined and do this for a long time. So anyway, and what you have to know through earnings season, everything is created different. Like Google's up 3%, this is down 10%. So if I love Chipotle, which Chase has Chipotle 3 times a week, I see it packed. Just because you see something in the business doesn't mean you can make money just rolling the dice into earnings. But bottom line is, don't roll the dice. The dice is not going to keep you in. Joey says, took me 20 years to learn to cut losses and stop taking risky trades, not being in control. Now I'm learning to hold winners without. There you go. Anyway, with that being said, this is what the morning looks like, and we're at a new high. I'm kind of running a little bit out of good ideas, to be honest. I still have like 20 positions. I'm trying not to get caught. So what did I do with Google? I didn't take Google into earnings. I just didn't do it. We rode Google from like 172. I was like, it has to be perfect. So what I did is I took Amazon. I'm like, you know what? If Google's up 5, Amazon's going to be up a lot, and people are going to say, hey, maybe these things can make higher highs. So I have a lot of 230 calls on them along the stock. And if Google is down 6, Amazon earnings are next week, I could have bought more, and Amazon's not Google. So my way of playing, a cheap way to play Google, was to play Amazon through that, and that's what I have on. So anyway, Google right now is at 196. Let's get to Google. So what this is 202, 207. So if you're looking to play it now post earnings, what you want to do is you want to see where the gap pivot is and trade versus that as a whole. Bottom line is we made a lot of money from here to here. I doubled and tripled options a few different times. I did not need to take into the print. I am in Amazon. Amazon, if Amazon can get above 230 today and stay above 230 today, I do think that it can continue up to 234, fill the gap, and maybe work back towards the highs. So I've been buying the dip in Amazon this entire way, and it's been great. I have not been able to, buy strength in any of these mega cap tech names. They just are not working. But anyway, so does Amazon get above 230? Does Google, so this is the question I'm asking myself, does Google open up 6 and close up 10, or does it open up 6 and go red? That'll tell you, kind of the appetite for risk, in my opinion, today. Meta, what are you doing? Meta's up 4. It's at 717. If Google holds up and this gets above 630, that might breed some confidence that, hey, maybe Meta, if it delivers next week, can get above and stay above, this bullish type flag right here. So that's how I kind of connect the dots and frame things, because that's what I do. Red Dog is the chief strategic officer of T3Live.com, founder of Red Dog Mindset. I wake up early in the morning. I put together hours of preparation and mind work. So this way, when I'm sitting on my desk from 9 o'clock to 11:30, I can execute with confidence. And I know if this happens, then do that. If that happens, then do this. And that's the way you have to be a professional trader, not roll the dice to make a milli or something like that. Anyway. So Cheech has asked me, so by the way, everyone can come here. So you could talk to me here. I got to figure out a way not to have the kaleidoscope. But so Cheech is saying, so each of your 20 positions you would close if earnings are near. I do. Like if you've been in NVIDIA and you have an IRA, okay, well, and you have NVIDIA for 3 years, it doesn't apply to you. My rules apply to someone here. It's July 24th. If you're up, just say 50 grand and you're going to get paid 70% and you're working at a trading firm, it applies to you. Because the last thing you want to do is take 1,500 Tesla, be down 30,000, and then you cut your paycheck in half for August. So that's who it applies to. If you're retired in 55 or 60 and you have a nice size 401k or IRA, it doesn't really apply to you, because it's not how you're going to eat and pay your mortgage. I'm talking about prop traders that trade for a living. You need to have a process and a plan and know what you're doing there. That's kind of who it. Anyway, so that's who it applies to. Sometimes I'm maybe too disciplined, and sometimes the guys that make the big money just throw sugar honey iced tea against the wall, but that's not going to last. Okay, you have to have such a routine and process, and you have to love it and do it every day. So anyway, aren't you 55? No, I'm 52, and I'm still working. I do have a 401k where I put money every single month. I do have a blood in the street account. I put it to work twice this year when we were down like 7% off highs and 14% off highs, and carved out really nice money. And for my Red Dog T3 trading accounts where I get paid quarterly, I have a day trading account, a swing account, an option account, and then a box account that when I'm making money, it turns it up. When I'm losing money, I lose more, but I'm pretty consistent, so it's fine. Anyway, with that being said, I do think if Google holds up and goes and Amazon acts well, I got to believe this, this starts to get above 717. And I might take options into this, because we'll see. I think Meta, obviously is going to make higher highs at some point this year. Apple's a pain in the ass. Excuse my French. It's consolidating. It's slow. You cannot pay up once in this name. Not once. You have to buy it when it looks bad and trim it when it looks okay. And, that's not how I like to trade, but that's the way Apple's trading. It's fine. It's fine. But it's got to get above 217. I think you're better off just buying options, into weakness. So then this way, at some point, it gets above that and it goes. So, we'll see. Why do you think I'm 55? Most people think I look 40, and you're aging me up already. What the hell's going on there? Anyway, Tesla, you want to know? Doesn't need to. So for Tesla, okay, let's go back to Tesla for a second. So the question is, will Tesla, be down 20, 28, or open up down 20 and close down 10? So, back to that lesson on Tesla. Okay, so sometimes I'll take a call spread, which costs me 2.5 to make 12.5, and I'm going to lose 2,500. But I'll lose that because risk is premium pay. But then all of a sudden you're trading Tesla, and you can make, and you buy it versus a 515 minute low, and then all of a sudden it rallies $6-7 off a calculated low, and you make triple what you lost in the call spread, and then you don't care. But at least that binary event is out of the way. So this is at 312. Where's 312? This is 305. This is 310-ish. I know this is big support right here. It's already below 323 here, all your moving averages. So we'll see. What I would say is if you're going to trade Tesla, which will be very noisy, let it put a 5-minute low in. Like just say like 310's the low, and it'll, this morning it bounces to 312. You could buy 312 and you have $2 risk. If all of a sudden the futures go, it doesn't bounce, breaks 310, you get out of the way. If all of a sudden things come in and it's holding above the low, hey, maybe you could buy it. Then market goes and it goes up, and then you have a new calculated trade post earnings. It's a very similar Google. Like, what do you do with post earnings? Okay, well, you can't just buy Google on the open. Some people might say, hey, Red Dog, it just came a long way. I'm going to fade this thing. You can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, it's a 196. Look at this trend. So it's opening up right here, filling this gap. There's a gap to be filled to 199. Meanwhile, a lot of my guys are buying this aftermarket of 186 when they're like, CapEx doesn't matter. They made a lot of money yesterday. What do you do with the call spread for today for Google? Sometimes it's interesting when you like just say I was telling people get a 190 by 195 call spread for Google, and it's above it. If it stays above 195 into tomorrow, you'll be maxed out and you just collect it. It'll just take it away. If you feel like, oh my God, it's going to open at 196 and go back to 190 and your whole call spread is going to disappear, maybe manage half that call spread. So this way you might lose a little bit in the shuffle, but at least you lock something in. Anyway, yeah, Tesla's just going to be a zero. I don't care unless all of a sudden it goes from down 20 to up 20 today, which, I'd say has this chance of that. Anyway, so let's move on a little bit. People ask me, what about IBIT? It's hanging here. As long as IBIT holds, the 65.77, there's a chance it can make one more move, but we'll see. This was my real big money trade in IBIT. We had the options on. It went to 69.46. That was over July 4th. Now I'm still in some. I have no options here, but I still think it's acting well. Ethereum, I trimmed into strength. I actually got rid of it on this day, missed that day. Now I'd love to be a buyer into this 29.39-ish area. Where's Ethereum right now? Ethereum is, kind of a 3-day pullback, 8 days catching up. I don't think Ethereum's done, so I kind of like that. SMCI, I still have that on as a power play. It's hanging in there. It's hanging in there. It's a tough trade. It's a tough name, but it's fine. It's open. Is it up a little bit today with NVIDIA because of the capex? Let's see. SMCI is, yeah, it's up 40 cents. See if it stays above this little area right here. Maybe it sees there. Some people like Red Dog. What about Pony? Pony's a different type of name. So here's a name that is autonomous driving. It's in China. My friends are telling me that it's real, that people love it, the technology is great, that it's more than just a chart, that this 2140, 2380 is not going to be the highs over the next 6 months. So for me, I started buying some options in here. I added stock. We'll see if it hangs in here and continues. So sometimes when you get a stock that, fundamentally is rock solid and it's going to be making higher highs in the future, and you get to know it and create a road map so you can trade your tier system around it, you can make an entire living off of that. I know guys that made an entire living the last 2 years off of Dash. Okay, they said to themselves, Dash was an IPO that came out in 2021. It's going to continue to increase their Dash Pass. No one understands them, da 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 da. And I helped create a roadmap for them, that made them wealthy, because I gave them. They said there's no possible way that 225 is the higher, 257 it's going to go to 300. So I was like, in order to get to 300, it's got to get through 144, and it did. And in order to get to here, it's got to hold here. Got to get through there. It's got to get, and like they used a tier system the entire time. Now, in order to get to 260 or 275, now on the weekly, it's got to hold 232, get above here, and continue. So if you started getting to know DoorDash and realized that every dip was viable into the 21 day on the daily, and had your crazy inflection point right here, because this is when I really started. I found out about it in August, that summer move right here. It took me a bunch of time to really get to know it. But anyway, bottom line is, what a move. So, and it still could go. So when you create your go-to list and you have a stock that you find before the world, and all of a sudden, you can make a whole lot of money there. Am I still long? I am not. I got rid of FXI yesterday. So FXI for me was a great trade. It was a power play also. Why? Not because I like China. I always say that's funny. Anyway, it was because it was really tight right here. I was buying the FXI calls in here. Look at that move. What a nice move. I'm out of it. It was a triple, and boom. ASTS. Yeah, well, ASTS is different sector, but people who love the technology of ASTS started buying it and said, hey, this is the way of the future. It's going to be, satellites in space instead of cell towers. Like in Short Hills, my phone sucks. Okay. I'm in the nicest, zip code in the world, and I can't even talk in my house because people are protesting that they don't want a cell tower and I can't get a signal. So if there was satellites up there, maybe it would be different. But anyway, ASTS was that type of move. If you believed in it and said, hey, this is not the end of ASTS. When it went from here to 39, it's going to consolidate. It's going to build a new base. New institutions are going to accumulate the crap out of this thing. And hey, hopefully you didn't get, away from it here. Because I know a lot of people that played this got really big here and they lost their shirt, or they lost their socks, whatever they did, and didn't go back to it here when it worked. So, but if you believe in it and you stayed with it and said, hey, it wasn't ready yet, you could have really, really made whatever it is that number is for you. I made a lot of money here. I know guys that made millions here, and then we even bought this pullback, and look, use the 8 day. Hey, isn't that a good thing that I teach? But anyway, you find a stock that, maybe that you want to get to know and do your research, do your homework, and then create a framework. What's a framework? Well, remember when this pulled in, I'm like, when, it got back above here, we're buying it. I'm like, if it gets through 54, it's going to see 58 to 60. Got through 54 and saw 58 to 60. If you use your day count rule and got out very small here in that pullback, you bought the dip, and now here we are, hanging in here, building another upper bull flag. And, in order to get to 75, it's going to have to get through 61. We have to see how many days it's going to go there. So anyway, ACHR, I'm accumulating it again. Came in a little bit more than I wanted, but you know what? Because I use a tier system, because I have a day count system, I was really big in here, like really big. I was buying 11s, 11 and a halves, and so is, power plays. Got up here right ahead of 1392. I wasn't sure how long it would consolidate, but I got down to like 20%. So now I'm buying it down here again. I like this. I think that this 1392 is not going to be the high of the next multiple months. I started buying UMAC again. This is Don Jr.'s name. Bought a ton here, sold some, bought some back, sold some. I'm buying some back. You know, it's got a channel, and at some point, if it's going to get back to 23 or whatever, it's going to have to get through this 1388. But for now, I'm buying Versa level. And then if you could, if you could catch that trade, it's pretty damn cool. Bull, people made a lot of money. I made a lot of money. I'm not in anymore. Looks good. Looks like it's going to get through 1870. If you stayed with that trade, congratulations. You're doing well. So there's a lot of different types of things going. Gold's working, silver's working for the boomers and for me. I'm not a boomer, but then you had Bitcoin did awesome. Ethereum did great. Even a lot of people are in Ripple. A lot of my friends are all in Ripple from below $1, and then they were buying it at 2.25, went to 3+. So the bottom line is things are moving, and if you're prepared and you're ready to go and your mind is right to execute, and not get worn out, you can make a lot of money during these pockets. There's only multiple pockets a year, and this has been one of those pockets. There's a lot of talk that the VIX is so low, this isn't going to end well. So, you know what? Just to humor everyone, I bought UVXY calls. I did. People like, whatever they were saying. UVX, just in case August has a little bit of a pullback, I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy some UVX calls. And if something's going to happen, the VIX is going to spike. Right here, it got to like 30. Here, it got to 30. Here, it got to 30. Here, it got to 50. There, it got to whatever. So I'll accumulate some for August 22nd, and that'll be my hedge. So if you have too many positions and you think this is going to end well and July, is almost over, then just go out and buy yourself some cheap insurance. Buy some UVXY calls for August 22nd. I believe that's the Friday or September. And this way you're not worried about it. I have guys that have been shorting. I don't have guys, not in the alpha team or anywhere, but people I know that are worth a lot of money are miserable because they think they're so smart. They don't like Trump. They don't like this. They don't like that. And they've been shorting the market for 6 weeks, and they're miserable. Everyone in the alpha team, everyone in the 630 club, Red Dog Mindset, we're not miserable. We're having some fun. We're drinking coffee. We're listening to music, and we're looking for setups, not looking for tops. I appreciate you. Sorry I was late today.